Different Dragons by Jean Little. Chapter 7. Thunderstorm. Ben stared at Hannah. What was she talking about? Gully was not his birthday present. His birthday was not until September. And anyway, Gully was Bob's dog. "You're crazy," he said at last. "Gully's not my dog, and it isn't my birthday." But Hannah was not looking at him. She was looking at Aunt Rose, and her face had turned crimson. "Oh, Miss Tucker," she wailed, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to tell. It just popped out. I forgot all about it being a secret." Aunt Rose sighed and shook her head. She looked from Hannah's worried face to Ben's puzzled one. She laughed suddenly. Then she pulled out a chair and sank down on it. "It's all right, Hannah," she said. "Poor Ben. He doesn't know what we're talking about. I'd better explain." Ben waited, but she took a minute to get started. "Gully is Bob's dog," she said, "but Bob and his wife have to move to England, and they can't take Gully with them. They would have to leave the poor dog in quarantine for 6 months, and that wouldn't be fair to him. So Bob and his wife are looking for a new home for Gully, and I thought of you and Jimmy, especially you." Ben stared at her. His mouth opened, but no words came out. Aunt Rose went on quickly. "Oh, I knew you weren't crazy about dogs. I called your father and asked him if I could give Gully to you for your birthday. He told me they would like you to have a dog and that Jimmy has wanted one for ages. But he said that you were frightened of them." "No dog," he said. Hannah was staring at Aunt Rose too. "You didn't tell me he said no," she whispered. "Well, no, I guess I didn't," Aunt Rose admitted. "You see, I couldn't believe anyone could stay scared of Gully. I thought I'd invite him and Ben here together, and once they got to know each other, everything would be different." Hannah turned to look straight at Ben, her brown eyes searching. "Are you scared of dogs?" she demanded. Ben looked down at his feet. His cheeks grew hot. "No, I'm not scared of dogs," he lied. "I just don't like them. I don't want one, that's for sure." "You really don't want a dog?" Hannah said. "You don't want Gully?" Ben raised his head and glared back at her. Why didn't she mind her own business? He could hate dogs if he felt like it. "I hate dogs," he flung at her. "They're vicious. They can even kill people. I saw it in the paper, so there." Hannah tossed her head. "We're talking about Gully," she said. "Gully isn't vicious, for Pete's sake. Gully wouldn't hurt a fly. Sometimes people kill people too. Does that make you scared of me? I'm a person. Boy, are you dumb." "I am not," Ben yelled. He was so mad that he was afraid he might cry. He wanted to punch her as hard as he could. Okay, cool down, both of you," Aunt Rose told them. "Just because you and I are nuts about dogs, Hannah, doesn't mean that Ben has to be, too. As for you, Ben, take it easy. Hannah would love to have a dog like Gully, so it's hard for her to understand how you can pass him up." She paused for a breath. Neither Hannah nor Ben spoke. Aunt Rose got up. "Why don't we all have some oatmeal cookies and milk?" she suggested. The two children said nothing, but Ben stopped wanting to kick Hannah. Although he had just finished breakfast, he was surprised to find he was starving. Maybe being mad made you hungry. Aunt Rose got out the milk. Hannah silently went to a cupboard and fetched the cookie tin. Then, as they started munching, Ben's aunt walked to the window and looked out. It was only then that Ben noticed that the room had grown much darker. "Goodness, just look at that sky," his Aunt Rose said. "I think we're in for a storm." Only an hour ago it was a lovely day. Now there's a real gale blowing." Ben and Hannah looked out the window. Ben was shocked to see great purplish clouds piling up over half the sky. The tree branches were whipping back and forth. He could hear the wind. Then there was a sudden rumble of thunder, followed by a faint flicker of lightning. Ben stiffened, clenching his hands until his knuckles went white. The other two didn't notice. "I'll let poor Gully in," Hannah cried, running to the back door. "Wait a second, Hannah," Aunt Rose called after her. "Ben, if you don't want to face Gully, you'd better go up to your room and shut the door." Ben headed for the back stairs without a word. As he ran, he heard Aunt Rose begin to bang down the windows. Then he heard Hannah yell. She sounded scared. "Miss Tucker, Gully's not in the yard," she was shrieking. "The gate's open and he's gone. I shut it when I came over. I'm positive I did." "I'm sure you did. It's blown open before, once or twice, when a gust of wind has caught it," Aunt Rose said hurriedly. "I forgot all about that when I told you to leave him out there." "Oh, poor Gully," Hannah moaned. "He's probably having the time of his life," Ben's aunt said, but her voice was worried. "Still, we'd better find him before he gets too far. I hope the rain holds off. He'll maybe go home, but there's nobody there to let him in. You look up the street in the other direction, Hannah, and I'll go toward Bob's." The back door slammed behind them. Ben heard them calling, "Here, Gully! Here, Gully!" Then a splatter of rain drowned out their cries. Thunder growled again. It was closer this time. Ben forgot all about Gully. He tore up the stairs to his room. He threw himself down on the bunk and buried his face in his pillow. He was scared of the dark. He was scared of dogs. But he was terrified of thunderstorms. Lightning struck people dead all the time. It hit houses and killed people who thought they were safe inside. His parents said storms were beautiful, and even Jimmy thought they were neat, but Ben hated them. Suddenly, he wondered if his window was still open. He lifted his head and took a quick look. It was. He could not make himself go over and shut it. The lightning might get him while he stood there. Rumble! Bam! Louder thunder. The open window was far too close. Crash! He couldn't bear it. Ben rolled over the edge of the bunk and scrambled underneath. It was dark there, and it smelled dusty. He rested his head on his arms. He was breathing fast, but the lightning would never come after him there. Then, as his thudding heart quieted a little, he heard something totally unexpected. He heard a low whimper. He was not alone in his hiding place. Gully was under there too.